Okay, guys, I'm going to pick up where I left off last night with the palace. There was a silence, and Sophie waited. She was quivering with excitement. But why the silence? Why didn't the other one, the maid, why didn't she say something? "What on earth's the matter, Mary?" the famous voice was saying. And there was another silence. "Mary, you've gone as white as a sheet. Are you feeling ill?" There was suddenly a crash and a clatter of crockery, which could only have meant that the tray the maid was carrying had fallen out of her hands. "Mary," the famous voice was saying rather sharply, "I think you'd better sit down at once. You look as though you were going to faint. You really mustn't take it so hard just because I've had such an awful dream." That isn't the reason, ma'am." The maid's voice was quivering terribly. "Then for heaven's sake, what is the reason, Mary?" I'm very sorry about the tray, ma'am." "Oh, don't worry about the tray. But what on earth was it made you drop it? Why did you go white as a ghost all of a sudden? You haven't seen the papers yet, have you, ma'am?" "No. What do they say?" Sophie heard the rustling of a newspaper as it was being handed over. "It's like the very dream you had last night, ma'am." "Rubbish, Mary. Where is it?" "On the front page, ma'am. It's in big headlines." "Great Scott!" cried the famous voice. 18 girls vanish mysteriously from their beds at Rockedon School. 14 boys disappear from Eton. Bones are found underneath dormitory windows." There was a pause punctuated by gasps from the famous voice, as the newspaper article was clearly being read and digested. "Oh, how ghastly!" the famous voice cried out. "It's absolutely frightful. Bones under the windows? What could have happened? Oh, those poor children." "But, ma'am, don't you see, ma'am?" "See what, Mary?" "Those children were taken exactly as you dreamt it, ma'am." "Not by giants, Mary." No, 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 ma'am. But the bit about the girls and boys disappearing from their dormitories. You dreamt it so clearly, and it actually happened. That's why I came over all weird, ma'am." "I'm coming over a bit weird myself, Mary. It gives me the shakes, ma'am. When something like that happens, it really does." "Well, I don't blame you, Mary." "I shall get you some more breakfast, ma'am, and I'll have this cleaned up." No, no, no. Don't go, Mary. Stay here for a moment." Sophie wished she could see into the room, but she didn't dare touch the curtains. The famous voice began speaking again. "I really did dream about those children, Mary. It was as clear as crystal." "I know you did, ma'am. I don't know how giants got into it. That was rubbish. Shall I draw the curtains, ma'am? And then we'll all feel a bit better. It is a lovely day." "Oh, please do, Mary." With a swish, the great curtains were pulled aside, and the maid screamed, and Sophie froze to the window ledge.